Hello, my dear students. Welcome to our SS2 subject. And today we are going to talk about Chapter 3, Becoming a Member of Society. Okay, this chapter class focuses on how individuals learn about culture and become members of society. So the discussion and activities in this lesson encourage the students to appreciate the process involved in learning a culture and becoming members of society, including social institutions, norms, expectations, and possible sanctions. Yeah. So social changes that affect social norms and the value of human rights. Okay. So here are our objectives, everyone. So at the end of the chapter, you students will be able to first explain the development of oneself and others as a product of socialization. Next, identify the context, content, processes, and consequences of socialization. Third, identify examples of agents of socialization and describe their role in socialization. Fourth, discuss how agents of socialization shaped their individual identities. And then discuss conformity and its significance to society. Another is discuss defiance and social control and cite examples of each. And finally, promote the protection of human rights and the common good. Okay, now class, here are the topics or specific topics that we are going to discuss in this chapter. So first of all, we are going to talk about socialization and enculturation. All right. Next, conformity, defiance, and social control. And the third topic is human dignity and human rights. So now let's start with our first topic, which is all about socialization and enculturation. Okay. So first of all, no, according to John Locke, the human mind at birth is nothing but a blank slate, or what we call tabula rasa. Okay, so as a child grows, various experiences imprints in his or her mind. Right? So according to Locke, our awareness and views of the outside world are acquired from the information perceived by our senses. So he did not believe that the human mind has innate conceptions. All right. So that is why class, no, um, since birth, or since we are still very young, we before, as a kid, we are very observant to what is happening around us, especially at home, and we can easily adapt to whatever that we have observed from, first of all, from our family. Okay, because a human being, class, should not live by himself, since we are social being who needs to socialize to acquire learning. Okay, so we don't have this um, innate learning, okay, because we learn from the environment and from the people around us. Okay, now next slide. Okay, this time let us define what is socialization. So socialization, class, this is already mentioned in the previous topic, right? Okay, so it says here that socialization is a lifelong process of social interaction through which people acquire their identities and necessary survival skills in society. So, in other words, socialization prepares new members of the society and trains them to think, feel, and act in appropriate ways. Okay, so another one, socialization is considered as the central process of social life and is also a process of member recruitment and replacement. So, for instance, or example of socialization include activities like child rearing, the orientation of a student to his or her new school, an initiation to an organization, attendance in Sunday school, catechism for Catholics, recruitment processes for political parties, and also acquiring an immigrant to significant aspects of life in his or her new country of work or residence. Okay, so that's how important socialization is. Another thing is that socialization enables the person to gradually become self aware and knowledgeable human being and learn the ways, values, rules, and culture of his or her society. Lastly, this one greatly influenced by the context of his or her respective society and the social group that he or she interacts. Okay? So that's the definition of socialization, everyone, no? So again, from the term itself, social. We need to socialize in order for us to learn about the norms, practices, values, and of course about our culture. Okay? All right. So the next slide. Okay. Socialization class is also important in politics. Okay? And a citizen develops and acquires political ideas, values, attitudes, beliefs, and opinions through what we call political socialization. Okay, so political socialization is a process which enables the development of citizens to function effectively within a particular political system. All right. And in this way, there are actually two views when it comes to socialization. Okay, we have functionalist view, and the other one is interpretivist view. Okay, so what are these views, everyone? No? So well, let's start with functionalists. So functionalists class believe in what we call internalization. Okay, internalize. Someone na siya. So internalization, that is a process of accepting social norms, attitudes, norms and values transmitted by the people in the social group or groups within societies as one's own. Again, you internalize, you accept social norms, attitudes, and values. So if people behave strangely, um, there is incomplete or inadequate socialization. And that means they have not fully acquired or learned what is expected of them. Okay? Because functionalists class do not consider that socialization vary from one person to person. Yeah. So because this view class is traditional and by the book kind of view, no? From the term itself, function. So in other words, you have to internalize what you have learned from socialization, okay? And all of you as member of the society must have the same function or must um, do what is expected of you in that kind of culture. So that's how functionalist view works. On the other hand, we have interpretivist sociologists. Okay, interpretivist view. So in this kind of view, it sees socialization as interactive process between individuals and other members of the society. Okay, so it actually gives importance to independence of individuals to independence to integrate their own views, take note, own views, beliefs, and ways into society. So, for example, um, decades ago, single parent families, especially an unwed mother and her child, do not conform to the conventional definition of a family and thus disapproved in the society, right? However, the increase of single parents over the next few years have led gradual acceptance of single parent family at present. So this phenomenon shows how segment of society can gradually gain acceptance in society through constant interaction with other members of society. Okay, and that is interpretivist view. So they are totally different class, no? Because again, functionalist view, it's um it does not consider socialization from one person to another. Yeah, because what we have learned is universal and it must be um, accepted, okay, by the many. However, in interpretivist, um, by just simply interacting to other people, you will learn from them, and that you gain acceptance to whatever it is, the values, the norms that they have taught or that you have observed from them. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so class, the sociologist William Wentworth proposed combining functionalist view and interpretivist view and call it synthesized view. Okay, because when we say synthesis, diba, that's combining. So William wanted to combine the view of functionalist and interpretivist. So when we say synthesized view, everyone, that is the view of socialization considers how factors such as free will, human autonomy, and social structures and processes influence socialization. Okay, take note. There is free will and human autonomy in this kind of view in socialization. And so there are three significant aspects of socialization, everyone. The first one is what we call the social context. So, social context, that is the particular circumstances of society and consists of its culture, language, and social structure that define social class, ethnicity, and gender. Okay, so again, for the social context, no, society that consists of its culture. So that is what you have learned or what you will be learning in by socializing. No. Second is content and process. So these refers to how social activities are structured or socialization is highly interactive. Okay, in this aspect. So basically, when we say content, no, it refers to ideas, beliefs, and other information that are passed on. Okay, and with that, we have a process that is refers to methods of interaction that enable the content to be given to the person. So when you have already acquired learning or the content, you will then um, give it or share it to the other person through a certain process. Yes, of course, we can do that one when we socialize. Okay, that's content and process. Okay, and the third aspect or significant aspect to socialization is, of course, what we call results. Okay, so when it comes to results, it refers to the outcome, okay, from the term result, the outcome of socialization, and are evident when individuals begin to practice the behaviors, attitudes, and values that society considers necessary for them to function effectively. So in result, there is already application to what you have learned in the social context, the content you have acquired with the process of socializing. So application, no, that's the outcome. What's the outcome now? So for example, when you learn a new language, you now have ability to speak your native language and comply the basic norms and rules in your community. Diba, class? That's actually the very first thing that we can learn when we are in a certain society, and that is language. No, the way we speak, the words that we use. That's, you know, easily learned actually. Yeah? Okay. So another thing, class, when it comes to result is that um, it is very essential to what we call self identity. Okay, so when we say self identity, it refers to establishment of a unique sense of identity. No, kita, lain-lain tag identity. So we have a sense of identity and awareness of how it relates to our society and the world. Okay, so in other words, class, no, huh? Okay, wait. Where's the next slide? Okay. So again, class, no? When we say socialization, that is the process by which we learn and internalize the rules and patterns of behavior that are affected by our culture. Okay? So this is socialization. It's the actual process. Is that clear? Okay, so I hope you understand now, know what is socialization. Now let's proceed to the other one, which is what we call enculturation. So what then is enculturation, everyone? Okay, so enculturation, class, that is the process of being socialized into a specific culture. Okay, so individuals learn cultural symbols, norms, values, and language by observing and interacting with family, friends, and the rest of society. So this one helps members to become functional member of the society. Mo ni siyang enculturation. Okay, so for instance, no, going to mass or other religious activities, learning the local language, and attending schools are some of the concrete examples of enculturation. Okay, so from the term no, enculturation, from uh, we may have the root word of it. It's enclosed. So you will learn your own culture. Okay. So when it comes to um, learning the culture, no, class, the traditions, norms, values, even language, so we actually have what we call agents of socialization and enculturation. Okay, so an important part, class, of socialization and enculturation processes are the social groups that people interact with throughout their lives. And this group are again called participants or agents of socialization and enculturation. So we have here family, school, peer groups, mass media, religion, the state, social and historical events. Okay, so let's go over to our first agent for socialization and enculturation, and that is family. Of course, does no. Family is a primary agent of socialization upon birth to infancy up to childhood. Okay, so because we learn first from our family. Okay, we learn our first language from our family members, right? We learn the values from them. So because they are the very first people or group of people that we interact as at a very young age. So family is the first agent. So despite the changes to the dynamics of the family class, it continues to be primary network of transmission of values, attitudes, and behaviors. Okay, the unique context of families may lead a child to emphasize certain behaviors and values which they give importance. All right. For example, a religious and conservative family may forbid their children from dating or having relationships at a young age, while other families may have a more liberal view regarding relationships and thus allow teenagers to engage on it. So you see, we have dynamics or different upbringing when it comes to family. Okay, our next agent is school. Okay, where we get our education, diba? So in the school, so we will learn academic and school activities, uh, which mold students' attitudes, beliefs, and of course values. Okay, so schools teach students important values like competitiveness, cooperation, leadership, innovation, respect, and others. So, um, school is also very important, not to become more self-aware, no, because because of the activities that we practice in the school, and we can also interact with our classmates and teachers, and we learn a lot from them. And of course, education is important by just reading the textbooks that our teachers will ask us to read, so we can also learn from it. So schools are also venues for political socialization class. As students learn history, culture, our nation's law, and learn from which unit they belong, starting from barangay, then town or city, province, and nation. So we learn all those things also in the school. So through education, students, yeah, become more aware of the interactions between people and social institutions and how these influence society. Okay, that's why right now you are listening to me, you are watching to our the recorded discussion. So you are learning from our subject, right? Okay, now the third agent for socialization and enculturation is what we call the peer groups. Okay, so peer groups refers to people who share the same interests or characteristics such as age and social background. Okay, so basically at your age now you can relate most to the same age as yours, and that is especially through your classmates in school or even in your neighborhood, no, or peer or friends like that. Okay, so by having a peer group, a child attains a sense of belonging and shared identity with other members of the group because they have common interest class, no, they have mutual support and shared identities. So I'm pretty sure that you class you also have a certain peer group. So for example, in the school you have your own section, so you have formed a certain peer group with your classmates. Okay. Okay, let's go to other agents of socialization and enculturation. Okay, so another one is mass media. Okay, what is mass media, everyone? So this one includes forms of communication such as books, magazines, newspaper, and other print materials. We also have radio, television, and even movies. No, so mass media is a powerful agent of socialization, which is widely used by many institutions and organizations. So the increased access to information class through mass media has actually transformed the way people experience the world and have provided an unprecedented amount of information, right? So, another thing, class, no, government and mass media are closely related. Why? Okay, of course, it's related, no. However, its relationship is very complex, and some scholars have varied views regarding how mass media influence and shape people's attitudes and minds. So, with that, we have this kind of models to mass media. Okay, so the first one is what we call pluralist model. So this is media as ideological marketplace that enhances the debate and electoral choice. So example of which is the live debates during election campaign. No? So that's pluralist model. So we also have market model in mass media, which suggests media reflects the views of the general public, presents what they think the people want. Okay, so we can usually see this market model through TV shows like teleseries, reality TV shows, and news, K drama, no, and those are actually dominant when it comes to the use of mass media, since most people watch them for entertainment, right? Okay. Next is dominant ideology. This one traces the bias to links between media and political and social elite. All right. So this could be seen in instances when prominent business owners and political figures own, control, or exert influence over certain media outlets. So naatay, and it's actually evident also, no, here in our country, um, when it comes to mass media, this one common sa ning dominant ideology. Okay, and lastly, we have elite values models. So this one recognizes media bias as product of personal views of media professionals such as journalists, broadcasters, and editors. Okay, so those are actually the models of our agent, which is mass media. Okay, let's go to another agent or agents. So we have here religion and state. Mhm. So for this one, this is considered as ultimate source of authority, which include the church and government. Mhm. Well, the state's class response in religion is, you know, the state's response in religion is fairly complex. In democratic states class, no, diba, there is separation of church and state, and that is guaranteed. Though in reality, the state defines and limits the influence of religion in society through laws, regulations, and other means. Okay. Okay, let's go to the, I think this is the final agent na, no? We have what we call social and historical events. Okay. So the changes and development brought about by historical events often cause transformation in the values, attitudes, and views that define societies. And that leads to further changes in the behavior and tradition of society. So this one is also very significant, no? Some social and historical events. Okay. And that's it. Those are the agents that we have now when it comes to socialization and enculturation. So again, we have agents like family, the school, peer groups, mass media, religion, and the state, and also social and historical events. Okay, so now, class, let me ask you a question first. Do you now understand what socialization and enculturation is? Can you differentiate the two? Okay, so let us make it simple, class now. Um, Again, when we say socialization, that's the process. Okay, it's a process by which we learn. Okay, not the learning. We learn and internalize the rules and patterns of behavior that are affected by our culture. On the other hand, when we say enculturation, that's a process by which um, we people learn and adopt the ways and manners of our culture. Okay? So, murabag ang enculturation, application siya. Okay? So, that's the product. Also, when it comes to enculturation, that is the product of socialization. Without socialization, it is hard um, to acquire this enculturation. So, mag-una gid na si socialization. No? Kay process of learning man siya. Right? Did you get it? So, um, in other words, class, no, socialization is mainly focusing on acquisition of knowledge, language, values, skills, and habits of the society. And when we say enculturation, that focuses more on the acquisition of cultural traits. So, naa na gyud tay cultural traits. Murabag ang enculturation hinug na ta. We learned a lot from our culture na, and at the same time we practice doing it. Na mas na internalize pa gyud nato. Okay? So another question to you is, are you a product of socialization and enculturation? Are you? Of course, the answer to that is yes, right? Okay, we are a product of socialization and enculturation, everyone. You know, socialization and enculturation, class, goes hand in hand in instilling the individual, the accepted values, norms, standards, or behaviors in the society through social rules, laws, which occur throughout individuals' life from childhood, adolescence, adulthood, old age, and even until death. Okay, so madala na nato atong learning with from our culture through socialization and enculturation. So I hope, class, that um, this one is clear to you, no, when it comes to socialization and enculturation. Okay, now this time let's go over to our next topic, which is all about conformity, deviance, and social control. So we will start with what we call conformity, from the term conform. So this one is the process of altering one's thoughts and actions to adapt to the accepted behavior within his or her group of society. So take note of the word or the term adapt to the accepted behavior. Ni-confirm ka kung unsa ang common nga gibuhat ana nga group or ana nga society. Imusod siyang gibuhat. That's conformity. So the product of pressure exerted by the group or on individual. Okay, it's like you must conform and the attitudes prevalent within your society. Okay, so when it comes to conformity, class, so we have what we call compliance, identification, and internalization. Okay, so these are actually common aspects when it comes to conformity. So first of all, we conform um, to the members in the society because of what we call compliance. No, um, when we say compliance, class, no, that's the outward conformity to social pressure. Okay, but privately disagreeing with it. So even if you disagree on a certain practice in that kind of culture, but ni conform ka, ni comply ka. Okay, all right. Ano ni comply man ka? So it's like you are motivated to comply Probably because you have a desire to gain rewards, and most of all, avoid punishment. That's why mo confirm ka even if you disagree. That's what we call compliance. What about sa school good class? Even if dili ka ganahan mag-wear og uniform because you think it's alimuot, but you have no choice. You have to conform. Why? You have to avoid a certain punishment. Okay? Especially this coming month or next month, dapat naka-uniform na most of you. Because if not, the guards will not let you in the school. So, comply. Good. That's compliance, no? Okay. And again, it's conformity because most of the students wear uniform. Okay? All right. And that's part of the culture in the school, man said good. You have to wear uniform. Okay, to identify that you are really a student of the university. Okay, next is identification. Mhm. So this one is um, when individual adapting to a certain behavior because it enables a satisfying relationship with the member of his or her group. Mhm. So take note, no, adapting a certain behavior to satisfy relationship. Okay, all right. So if you think that this group or this kind of society, you have the same interests, you have the same goal, and you have a good relationship with the other members, so you have the so-called identification. Gina-identify ka nga part na gid ka ana nga society. Okay. And then when it comes to conformity, we also have what we call internalization. So, di balik ni nga word no, internalize. Or also called acceptance from the term accept. No? So this one involves both the public compliance and internal acceptance of norms and standards imposed by the group. Mhm. So, um, this one internalization is motivated by the desire to be right. Okay, with the authority figure or person of influence being deemed trustworthy, credible, and of good judgment. Okay, so ano siya class no? So we conform based on compliance. Again, number one, compliance. Comply ka. Next, identification. How's your relationship with other group of with other members in the group or in the society? And finally, you will acquire what we call internalization or acceptance. Accept nimo kung unsa ang inyong culture and practices. Now that's again conformity. And conformity, that's what most of the people in your or members in your group usually do or practice. So, ni-confirm ka. Appeal ka ba? No? Appeal ka mo. Sabay ka. That's the Bisaya there in conformity. No? Okay. Let's go to the next one, which is what we call deviance. Okay, yun sa ng deviance, everyone. So, when we say deviance, that's a behavior that elicits a strong negative reaction, negative ha, from a group member and includes actions that violate commonly held social norms. So na ay violation, negative reaction, mo ng defiance. Okay, for instance, no? For example, um, in the Philippines, women drivers are common already, right? But in Saudi Arabia class, driving a car was considered undesirable behavior for women until the year 2008 when they were finally allowed to drive. Mhm. So lahi isad sa other countries lahi pud sa ato because sa ato okay ra gyud na now, women will drive their own car or probably public vehicles, but so Saudi before 2008, so it's undesirable behavior now. It's like defiance na siya sa ilahang culture. Okay. What is a good kita class? when we say plastic surgery or enhancement sa face, it's like taboo kaayo na to as Filipinos, no, because it's not really that common, especially before. Kung makaibaw ta nga na artista nga nagpa nose job like that, enhancement lang sa face, then mabash na, no. Actually, it still exists nowadays, but less na lang, okay, because right now we already accept it. Mhm. So, but before, para na to, more siyang defiance, no? Undesirable nga behavior. Okay, so we have here some views on defiance, everyone, or what we call perspective. So let's just go over to the next slide because it's not clear, no? Dito nga slide. Okay. The first view when it comes to defiance is what we call structural functionalist framework. So, duha no? Structural and functionalist. So this one consider crime and defiance as a result of structural tensions and lack of moral regulation within the society. Mhm. In this view, class social control is ineffective. Okay? Um, Excuse me, due to loss of shared values. Okay? So, again, structural functionalist. So, naay structural tension. Kaya nawa na ang mga shared values in that culture. Social control is not effective anymore. Okay? Next to that is, okay, structural strain theory. Kuan kaya mga terms last, no? All right. Anyway, structural strain. So this one argues that the tensions and strains between socially approved goals and an individual's ability to meet them will lead to defiance. Balik ko na to ha. Ang tension and strains between socially approved goals an individual's ability to meet them will lead to defiance. So, for example, tagana to example, no? For instance, when a construction worker has been wanting to gain regular employment, but still not given after a year, this one will result or leads him to do less desirable means of livelihood or even crime. So, because his goal was not met, and that leads to what we call defiance. No, kaya ingon man si structural strain na na ay tension between sa goal sa ka tawo and their ability to meet them. Nga lisod i-meet ang goal sa usa ka tawo ba, di ba? We can understand a certain person somehow sometimes na ma-frustrate ang usa ka tawo or it's really hard to survive in this kind of society. For example, just like right now, no, grabe ang inflation, taas na kay ang mga pamaliton, and then gamay ra ang sweldo, for example, sa kataw. And so, lisod i-meet no ang goal ug ang ability to meet that goal. And that's why some other people will commit to less desirable actions, behavior, and crime, no, and that's what we call defiance, right? Okay, so again, that's structural strain. Na strain ba, no? Na ay kalisod theory. Okay, let's go to the next view. Okay, so we have subcultural view. Okay, so this points the emergence of deviant behavior within certain groups in society or subcultures. So even inside sa Osaka group na ay deviant. So this group tend to celebrate defiance, delinquency, or nonconformity as traits that define their identity as a group. So for example, naay ka ng mga gangs, no? Gangs and goons, and then they do negative things in the society, but for them it's okay, no? Okay. And so there is emergence of deviant behavior within that group. So that's subcultural view of deviance, no? Next is symbolic interactionist view. Okay, so this one considers defiance as a socially constructed phenomenon influenced largely by interpersonal relationship. Okay, and that this view class is related to what we call labeling theory. Okay, when we say labeling theory, this one believes that there is actually no defiance in society. So defiance emerges when society begins labeling certain actions or deviant or undesirable. So saan siya? Socially constructed phenomenon influenced largely by interpersonal relationship. Di ba class, when you say interpersonal relationship, you interact with other group or other members in a certain society. However, when another group of people or members label your group or your society as pati, mga criminal, like that. So, um, that will actually lead to defiance, no? Mura ba, gitagaan kag label nga, inana inyong group, inana inyong society, inyong culture, mura bag na ay symbol nga bati, no? Okay? But in fact, it's just the label from the other group. But that other group or that other society, uh, they don't really know much about your own group or society in your culture, no? But anyway, that's the view on what we call symbolic interactionist. Okay. Another one, we have conflict perspective. So this one analyzes defiance in the framework of competing interests between social groups and the maintenance of power among the elites. Mga elites, no? So this view considers concept of defiance as a reflection of society's inequalities, as those who are less powerful in the society are more likely to be considered as defiant. So it's like there is conflict, no, between superior and inferior. Superior are those elites or rich people, and then we have inferior, those that are less fortunate. Okay, but when and of course when it comes to that in the society, no, mura bag naanda na to nga, if they are rich, they are powerful. If we are less fortunate, then we are deviant. Something like that. So na society good class nga, ingon ana ba kaubos ang tanaw nila sa ubang tao nga moana din sila nga pobre ra na sila. So maybe they are doing some undesirable things, no? They are doing deviant kind of things, no? But anyway, that's what we call conflict perspective. Okay. All right. Lastly, we have, I think this is the last view. Let's see. Okay, yeah. The last view when it comes to defiance is what we call control theories. So this one considers defiance as emerging because of inadequate social control. So from the term control theories, so walay social control, walay social order, laws, no regulation. The people can just do whatever they want to do, very democratic. Anyway, so if society is unable to maintain control and order, it encourages members to engage in deviant behavior. Imagine a class, if sa school na to, walay rules, walay regulation, the students can just do whatever they want to do. Can you imagine the chaos or chaotic sceneries in classroom and outside classrooms? Kana bang kung students pwede na magvandal din ha, mangguba og chairs, or jealousy sa window. Yun ang nakagubot. So, tendency, mo na siya tendency class if there are no rules, laws, or regulation in a certain society. That's according to control theories. That leads, so when those things are absent, walay laws, then it will lead to defiant behaviors of the members. No? Magwald na dahil ng mga estudyante. But of course, in a school, may gid na rules, regulations, and laws. And of course, just like our school. Diba? Okay. Oh, now they take it toward class broken window theory. It suggests a direct relationship between social order and defiance, and that maintaining even an appearance of order is sufficient to discourage defiance. Is what I have said, no? So if a certain place or society and culture has social order, then basically you can maintain. I mean, there is social order if you can impose strictly the laws and rules or regulations in the society, right? For example, the local government in your place maintains constant police presence and cleanup drives in your home place in areas associated with criminality to discourage the occurrence of crimes and vandalism. So, kung sa Bisaya pa, if ka na ang place, giilan na siya nga, dagag snatcher din ha. But if the local government will maintain constant police inspections, dinhang dapita, then wala na gyud mga deviant behaviors. Mahadlok jud ang mga tao pudno nga madakpan. So less ang snatching. Correct? Okay, so I'm sure na ay area siguro sa Cebu City no nga gidungog og ginana, but but I don't know what kind of place that is. Yes, but be careful na lang gid no because nowadays no naagay mga snatching panghitabo. Okay. Anyway, that's it, class. No, when it comes to what we call defiance, let's go over to the third one, which is social control. So, taas-taas na gid itong discussion, class. I hope nga nagpadayon pa mong tan-aw sa akong this recorded discussion. Okay. So, social control. Okay, what is this one? So, from its term, this is systematic. Okay, systematic means and practices used to maintain norms, rules, and laws. Okay, this one regulate conflict and discourage defiant behavior. Okay, so this one now is very important because as we all know, naagay defiance, right? Okay, so when it comes to social control, there is what we call sanctions. So some say sanctions. Okay. So these are most common means of social control and are often employed to address conflicts and violations. So it can be formal or informal. Kaning sanction. Okay? So this is one way or best way for social control. So first, there is what we call formal sanction. So mana formal sanction. So when we say formal, that is provided by laws and other regulations in society. So by the book, it kaya naagi rules, law. Okay? So for example, class, no, a certain sanction, naaman tay each country or society lain-lain og sanction, no? So for instance, in US, they impose a death penalty on crimes such as murder, rape, or unsa pa na. But in the Philippines, death penalty was suspended since 2006, if I'm not mistaken. It's 2006. So, as you can see, that kind of sanction, the death penalty, is accepted in US, but in the Philippines, it's suspended. Yeah, but anyway, that's formal sanction class. That's according to the laws and regulation in the government, in the society. And we also have what we call informal sanctions. So these are commonly imposed by smaller societies. Informal lang, no? Imposed by smaller society, communities, or groups. So there are no set of laws or regulation in informal sanction. Walay laws, no? Walay regulation. So that define the nature of these sanctions. And these are often agreed upon by the members of the society lang. Or just some members of the society. And usually, kanang informal sanctions includes gossip, magmarites, no? Insults, insulto ka, some rebooks, and ostracism. Now, when you say ostracize, kanang exclusion from a society or group ba? So it's like ang sanction nila din nakapaapilon, ana. So that's just an example of what we call informal sanction. Okay? Nagkuha ninyo class? So again, that is what we call social control. Okay, and that's it for our topic conformity, defiance, and social control. So ato na lang dyan i-continue sa last topic. And our last topic is this one. Human dignity and human rights. Okay. So first of all, what is human dignity? So human dignity refers to the idea that a person has the innate right to be valued, respected, and treated well. Imuhang dignidad. Respetaran ka, i-value ka sa mga tao, and treated well. That's human dignity. And when we say human rights, so that are legal, social, and ethical principles that consider a human person as deserving of liberties and protection by virtue of human dignity. So, kita lahat ay human rights. Okay, lahat ay rights. Right to live, right to education, unsa pa na dira. So, ito nang i-mention in this discussion, no? So, human dignity and human rights class are significant concerns when dealing with socialization and issues on defiance and social control. Okay, anyway, so we have here characteristics of human rights. So we have universal, fundamental, indivisible, and absolute. Okay, so when we say universal class nga human rights, so universal because we belong, or human rights belong to all human beings, no, regardless of race, religion, gender, and other characteristics. Universal. Bisag asa pa nga society, bisag asa pa nga country, everybody has human rights. Okay. Next is fundamental. So they cannot be, or the human rights cannot be taken away from any human. That is supposed to be our rights. No, di ta mo magtangan og mga rights ba. Okay, but it depends on the situation man sa good class. But kana mga basic rights, so it's fundamental. All of us have right, especially the right to live. Especially if we don't have any kind of sanction. Okay, another one is indivisible. This one is interrelated and given equal importance. Okay, so we have equal importance when it comes to human rights. And lastly, absolute. Okay, so absolute, since they cannot be qualified, the human rights cannot be qualified and are considered basic necessities of living and a genuine life. So those are characteristics of human rights, everyone. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so I have here this one on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I'm not sure kung klaro ba sa inyo. But anyway, this is a major legal instrument that upholds the recognition of human rights. And that's what we call Universal Declaration of Human Rights, or UDHR. which was drafted by the United Nations Commission on Human Rights in 1948. So, may naadinhi, no? It says here, all human beings are born free and equal, right? Each individual is gifted with reason and conscience. So there shall be no discrimination in the recognition of human rights. Number 3, we all have the right to life and to live freely and safely. Of course, right? 4, there shall be no slavery. We cannot make another person our slave. But yeah, that's human rights, but I'm sure this is still existing, no? Next, no one has any right to torture or hurt another person or subject them to inhuman or degrading treatment. Mhm. 6, everyone has the right to equal and fair treatment under the law. Okay, so walay above the law. So equal treatment lang. Number 7, all are entitled to equal protection of the rights under the law. Of course. 8, we have the right to seek protection and remedy from the courts in case our rights are violated. Number 9, we cannot be placed under arrest or imprisoned without good reason. Okay? Number 10, we are all entitled to a fair and public trial by an impartial court. 11, a person accused of a crime is presumed to be innocent until proven guilty by the court. 12, we have the right to privacy. Yes, nobody has the right to come into our homes, open our letters, or interfere with our daily activities. So we also have the right to defend our name and reputation. 13th, we have the right to travel to any place in our country and even travel to other countries. Given also that you will follow other countries' laws, regulations, and policies. Okay? All right. Number 14, we have the right to seek protection in other countries if we are being persecuted in our own country. Number 15, everyone has a right to a nationality and one cannot be deprived of his or her nationality. 16, all consenting adults have the right to be married and start a family. Men and women have the same rights when they are married and when they are separated. Okay, let's continue reading this one. Okay. So 16, well, ang 17 o 18. Sige, continue na lang ta. Number 19, everyone has the right to have an opinion and to freely express their thoughts and ideas. Okay. Express the thoughts and ideas. But of course, um, but remember, class, there is no such thing as absolute right. Okay, we can freely express our thoughts. We can post on our social media accounts, but we have to also regulate, no, and somehow kanang be sensitive of what we are going to express. Okay? Kaya delikado ka na mag-post na din ha, and then nag-mention kag pangan or institution, nang daot ka. So you might be sued for libel. Okay? And remember again, there is no absolute freedom or right. Not a limitation, class. Anyway, number 20. We have the right to gather together and associate with other people freely. Mm-hmm. But during the lockdowns, no, from the start of the pandemic, like 2 years ago, of course, at that time, wala tayo freedom, no, to have, you know, in close gathering because of the virus. But now, niluag-luag naman ang ato ang community and regulations about that one. So yeah, we can freely enjoy this kind of right. Okay. Number 21, we have the right to participate in government, have access to public services, and vote in the elections. All right. So especially recently, last May, so those who can elect have practiced this um, right to suffrage, yeah, right for us to vote. Okay, number 22. Everyone has the right to affordable housing, medicine, education, and child care. Okay, this one. Importantísimo, guys. Number 23, we have the right to be employed, okay, and choose our profession. We also have the right to be paid justly for our work, to be given protection in our workplace, and to join a trade union. Okay? Paid justly for our work. Makarelate mo na. Okay, number 24. Everyone has the right to rest and leisure, and to be given reasonable hours of work. 25th. Everyone has the right to live a good life and have adequate food, clothing, and shelter. So the elderly, unemployed, disabled, and children have the right to be cared of. 26, we have a right to education. So basic education should be free, and higher education should be affordable and easily available for all. Education should lead to full development of the individual. So parents have the right to decide on their children's education. Okay? 27th, everyone has the right to be part of their community and culture, to enjoy the arts, and share in the benefits of scientific advancements. So a person also has the right to ownership of his or her own artistic or intellectual creation. It's why kung mag-produce ka o yung no? So magkuhan ka copyright. Because you have intellectual property. Okay, 28th. All persons have the right to live in a society that upholds human rights and freedom. 29th, everyone has the duty to uphold not only their own rights, but also the rights of others, and to responsibly exercise their rights and freedoms. Lastly, no individual, group, or government can take away your human rights. So I hope that you guys will review this rights, okay? And of course, um, we have to exercise our rights and the rights of other people, because again, when it comes to rights, no characteristics of human rights, it's universal, it's fundamental, indivisible, and absolute. Okay, and that actually concludes our discussion for the chapter 3. If you notice, taas yun kaayo ni kaninga chapter. Yes, because we talked about, first of all, socialization and enculturation, and then we talked about conformity, defiance, and social controls, and lastly, the human dignity and human rights. And that's how we become member or members of a society. And that's it, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed our discussion. And we will see each other again in the next recorded discussion. So, bye for now, everyone. And enjoy the rest of your day.